चैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम् वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वतीदेवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणि निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशधारिणि जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 2, Text 34 and 35. Tepi Vishwasruja Shatram Sahasra Pari Vatsaran Samvidhaya Maheshwasa Yatrejya Rishabho Hari. Tepi Vishwasruja Shatram Sahasra Pari Vatsaran Samvidhaya Maheshwasa Yatreja Rishabho Hari. Synonyms: They, those, Api, even, Vishwasraja, progenitors of the universal population, Shatram, the sacrifice, Sahasra, 1000, Parivatsaran, years, Samvidhaya, performing, Maheshwasa, O Vidra, Yatra, in which, Ijya, to be worshipped, Rishabha, the presiding deity of all demigods, Hari. Hari. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The sage Maitreya continued, O Vidra, all the progenitors of the universal population thus executed a sacrifice for thousands of years. For sacrifice is the best way to worship the Supreme Lord, Hari, the personality of Godhead. Purport. It is clearly stated here that the stalwart personalities who generate the entire population of the world are interested in satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead by offering sacrifices. The Lord also says in Bhagavad Gita 5:29, Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam. One may engage in performing sacrifices and severe austerities for perfection, but they are all meant to satisfy the Supreme Lord. If such activities are performed for personal satisfaction, one is involved in Pashanda or atheism. But when they are performed for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, one is following the Vedic principle. All the assembled sages perform sacrifices for 1000 years. So uh, the context here is Daksha has been organizing a great sacrifice. It is said here it's supposed to be go on for 1000 years, and apparently they have done it for 1000 years. But initially there were some hiccups uh, because Daksha thought that Lord Shiva did not respect him properly, and he became envious, and he tried to blaspheme Lord Shiva. And because of that blasphemy, then Lord Shiva's follower, Nandishwara, he tried to blaspheme uh, the Daksha and his followers. And in turn, Bhrigumuni tried to blaspheme back the followers of Lord Shiva. So it's a back and forth, lot of uh, uh, words have been exchanged. not pleasant curses against each other. So, in spite of all that hiccups, still they continue to perform the Vedic sacrifice. So, uh, and this verse is speaking about because Vedic sacrifices performed to praise the Lord. So that is the reason the sages who are present there, they continued the uh, sacrifice. And Prabhupada takes this opportunity to say that uh, sacrifices are actually performed to satisfy the Lord. And if one actually performs these kind of sacrifices or any kind of austerities for the personal satisfaction, it is considered as atheism. I'm not exactly sure what is the meaning of Pashanda, but Prabhupada is saying it's atheism or atheism. Probably that's what it means. Pashanda means. And if anyone of you in the call know the Sanskrit word, we can discuss later. But when the sacrifice is performed for the satisfaction of the Lord, that's when the it's considered as a following Vedic principles, and we are protected, uh, right? And it will actually please the Lord. We'll move on to the next verse. Aplutyava Bhritam Yatra Ganga Yamuna Yavita Viraje Natmana Sarve Swam Swam Dhama Yayustata. My dear Vidura, carrier of bows and arrows. So it's talking about Vidura's qualification here. Vidura's carrier of bows and arrows. All the demigods who are performing the sacrifice took their bath at the confluence of the Ganges and the Yamuna after completing the yajna performance. Such a bath is called Avabhruta Snana. After that, uh, after thus becoming purified in a heart, they departed for their respective abodes. Avabhrita, the bath which is taken after the performing sacrifice. Wow. Purport. After Lord Shiva and previously Daksha left the arena of sacrifice, the sacrifice was not stopped. The sages went on for many years in order to satisfy the Supreme Lord. Sacrifice was not destroyed for want of Shiva and Daksha, and the sages went on with their activities. In other words, it may be assumed that if one does not worship the demigods, even up to Lord Shiva and Brahma, one can nevertheless satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7:20. Kamastastai Kritagyana Prapadyante Anya Devata. Persons who are impelled by lust and desire go to the demigods to derive some material benefit. Bhagavad Gita uses the very specific word Nasti Buddhi, meaning persons who have lost their sense of intelligence. Only such persons care for demigods and want to derive material benefit from them. Of course, this does not mean that one should not show respect to the demigods, but there is no need to worship them. One who is honest may be faithful to the government, but he is not need to bribe the government servants. Bribery is illegal. One does not bribe a government servant, but that does not mean that one does not show him respect. Similarly, one who engages in the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord does not need to worship any demigod, nor does he have any tendency to show disrespect to demigods. Elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita 9:23, it is stated, Yepi anya devata bhaktya yajante shraddha yamita. The Lord says that anyone worships the demigods is also worshipping him, but he is worshipping avidhipurvakam, which means without following the regulatory principles. The regulatory principle is to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Worship of demigods may be indirectly the worship of the Personality of Godhead, but it's not regulated. By worshipping the Supreme Lord, one automatically serves all the demigods because they are parts and parcels of the whole. If one supplies water to the root of the tree, all the parts of the tree such as the leaves and branches, are automatically satisfied. And if one supplies food to the stomach, all the limbs of the body, the hands, legs, fingers, etc., are nourished. Thus, by worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can satisfy all the demigods. But by worshipping all the demigods, one does not completely worship the Supreme Lord. Therefore, worship of the demigods is irregular and it is disrespectful to the scriptural injunctions. In the age of Kali, it is practically impossible to perform the Deva Yajna or sacrifices to the demigods. As such, in this age, Srimad Bhagavatam recommends Sankirtana Yajna. Yajna is Sankirtana Prayer Yajantihi Sumedasaha. Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 5, Text 32. In this age, the intelligent person completes the performance of all kinds of yajnas simply by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Tasmin Tuste Jagat Tusta. When Lord Vishnu is satisfied, all the demigods who are parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord are satisfied. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the fourth canto, second chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Daksha curses Lord Shiva. So it's interesting here that Prabhupada is telling, even though Lord Shiva was not present in the sacrifice was continued and it is uh, taken as if we actually don't have to worship uh, uh, Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma for that matter. As long as we are trying to worship Lord Vishnu and satisfy Lord Vishnu through, right? In this case here, it is specifically talking about the yagna, and yagna is to please the Lord, and the sages there continued 1,000 years after Lord Shiva and Daksha left from the arena, right? So, but their motivation was to please the Lord, and Prabhupada is writing a big purport talking about how worshipping the Lord is the prime most important, right? And that would actually take care of the worship of the demigods as well, because Prabhupada is giving the analogy here of the feeding the stomach. Once we feed the stomach, we nourish the entire body. We don't have to feed each part of the body, right? So also similarly, another beautiful analogy is the watering the root. Uh, when we water the root of the tree, all the parts of the tree get nourished. We don't have to individually give nourishment to the parts of the tree. So similarly, since Lord Vishnu, in many ways, like in the form of a universal body, or is the Karanagdagisha Vishnu, he's in a way foundation of the entire universe. All the demigods are parts and parcels uh, of him. So when we worship Lord Vishnu, in this case, they're offering their worship through sacrifice. So then they are pleasing all the demigods. But other way is doesn't work. Like if you try to please the demigods, it's not necessarily pleasing Lord Vishnu. That is why it is an avidipurvakam. It's not complete, right? It's not fully regulated. Uh, but it also doesn't mean that we don't respect the demigods. So that fine balance has to be there. We don't have to offer worship separate from the Lord Vishnu. Neither we should disrespect the demigods. We have to offer them respect, and we have to worship Lord Vishnu, and we can worship demigods as part and parcels to the Lord, right? As his subservients. But we don't have to uh, worship them separate from the Lord, right? Prabhupada is actually considering it as a bribing the government servant. So it's not necessary. We can respect the government servants. So, and Prabhupada actually uses punchline at the last paragraph, saying that for this age, the actual yajna to be performed is the Sankirtana yajna, which is mentioned in Bhagavatam 11th canto by, I think, Karbajan Muni in his teachings to King Nimi. he's speaking about Lord Chaitanya's indirectly, actually, he gives a clue in this verse uh, that Lord Chaitanya will appear in Kali Yuga, and he would perform Sankirtana Yajna as the Yuga Dharma for this age, and he propagates that, and intelligent people will take that this form of sacrifice uh, and perform very carefully, worship Lord Vishnu through this form of Sankirtana, right? And recently Maharaj was telling that uh, in the last class of his visit, holy name, and he said Bhagavatam and the distribution of the books. These are all part of Sankirtan, uh, right? Sankirtan Yajna, chanting the holy names and distributing the books like Srimad Bhagavatam. Uh, yeah, and the discussion uh, about Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing and chanting. So this is the culture of uh, Sankirtan Yagna. So this culture should be propagated, and um, that is the prime go means of this age for the deliverance. Right. So uh, that's how this chapter ends. And if any one of you have any discussions, or if you want to talk about any other topics, please go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I mean, the sages after Lord Shiva and all left, they did the 1,000 years of sacrifice. I mean, I didn't hear that part. Is that what is mentioned?
Yes, Prabhat. In fact, that's there in the previous direct verse itself.
Hmm.
In that, the sage Maitreya continued, "O Vidura, all the progenitors of the universal population thus executed a sacrifice for thousands of years.
Hmm.
For the sacrifice is the best way to worship the Supreme Lord Hari, the personality of Godhead."
Okay.
And the next 35 verse says that, my dear Vidura, all the demigods who are performing the sacrifice took their bath at the confluence of the Ganges and the Yamuna after completing the yajna performance. So previous verse says 1,000 years, then this verse says at the end they took the bath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Prabhupada speaks about in the purport saying that even though Lord Shiva and Daksha, they left the arena in the beginning, right? After all
Yeah.
the hiatus, whatever happened, the sages continued the
Yeah.
worship.
So it happened for a long time. That's what I was just trying to understand. Then again,
Yes.
oh yeah. I mean, of course, from the eternity perspective, 1,000 years is nothing, but it is a long one.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Mhm.
uh, but then, say, I don't know. I mean, they're doing this to please the Lord, right? I mean,
Yes.
I mean, I was just thinking about it. What is that pleasing the Lord there, right? Because Lord Shiva got offended, and I mean, they offended Lord Shiva, and then he left, right?
Yes. Yes.
So I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. It's interesting, Prabhu. Last, I was hearing Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj's class. He was mentioning that uh, third canto,
Hmm.
the big picture, because he says every canto has lessons that we have to learn,
Hmm.
what we should not do and what we should do. The third
What,
canto lesson is
what is the last point we should learn? What is the other one you said?
every canto has a lesson.
No, that I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, the lesson has two parts.
Two
That
parts. Okay. Uh-huh.
yeah, the things that we should do and the things that we should not do.
Okay.
Right? So the third canto, the main lesson that what we should not do is the lording over the resources of the material nature.
Hmm.
Basically, the tendency to enjoy the material nature. Right?
Hmm.
In fact, the symptom or epitome of that is Hiranyaksha, who
Hmm.
tries to exploit Mother Nature to excavate gold and all the for his sense gratification, right?
Hmm.
So that is the mentality that third canto is trying to teach us, that don't have that kind of mentality. Even the scientists are doing that. They're trying to exploit material nature for their own benefits. They don't acknowledge the Supreme Lord. They're trying to manipulate the matter, laws of nature for their benefit, right? Which is atheism. Okay. And the third canto says, so that is the not to do part. The to do part in the third canto is that how to avoid that mentality of exploiting the material nature is through sacrifice, right? And Lord Varahadeva is the personification of sacrifice. In fact, the worst, when Lord Varaha appears, all the sages glorify him. In fact, he glorifies him as if different parts of the yajna, sacrifice. Right? So, Lord Varaha is the personification of the sacrifice. So that means when one do things for the sacrifice as a sacrifice to Lord Vishnu, then our tendency to lord it over the material nature goes away, right? Exploiting the material nature. That's what Bhagavad Gita chapter 3 also, right? We have to do our job, but do as a yajna, not independently, right? So that is the part. Now, Maharaj says the fourth canto, the no lesson, the lesson that we should not, the lesson that do is that because third canto says do sacrifice. Now, fourth canto says do sacrifice, but don't take it to the too extreme, because sacrifices per se, the Vedic sacrifices, they actually result in pride.
Opulence.
They result in what do you call? He says actually opulence and wealth, which results in pride, which causes us to do offenses. Particularly, we don't regard the Supreme Personality Godhead and his devotees. Like Lord Shiva is topmost devotee, whereas Daksha represents the mentality of doing the sacrifice. So Daksha, the Sanskrit meaning itself, Maharaj says that expert. He is expert in performing the Vedic sacrifices. And he is so expert, and he was the topmost person. He can do the sacrifices to the T. Everything he follows very nicely. That is why his name is called Daksha. But he's so proud of his prowess and doing the yajna so thoroughly that he can't even recognize who is better than him in terms of devotional level. So he that's why uh, he offends Lord Shiva, and all the back and forth happens. So one of the lesson is don't take it. Yes, third canto says do the sacrifice, but fourth canto says the lesson, the not to do lesson is sacrifice is important, but sacrifice is not the only thing. It's not independently you should do. It is for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and in fact, without the help of the bhakti in it, the sacrifice is actually detrimental to our progress. In fact, the lesson is also there in the fourth canto itself, saying that in the when uh, the king, I forgot the name, the Lord appears as a king. Uh, he is a avatar.
Maharaj.
Prith Maharaj, yes. In one of his prayers, he speaks about, he speaks to Kumaras, and he says that how association with the devotees like Kumaras and hearing from them, that's what purifies the entire this Vedic culture, the culture of sacrifice. Otherwise, it becomes destruction. So, in fact, he talks about hearing from pure devotees as the nectar of the Lord's Padadhuli, like the
Dust of the lotus.
dust of the lotus feet is actually coming through their mouths and sprinkled on our heads through the ears, and so that's how he compares it, and that's what purifies the culture of sacrifice. So that's very interesting. I was uh, yeah.
Thank you. Nice.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So if anyone has any other comments, can discuss. Otherwise, we can pause here. Thank you very much, devotees, again for joining today morning's reading. We'll conclude here. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपासिन्धुभ्यः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्ण।